right, man. This is kind of strange. I've owned this camera now that I've been filming with for a few months, and if you look back at the few videos that I've done with this camera, you'd see that every single video has been on a tripod. I've been kind of far away from the camera, and this is the first time I ever tried to do handheld on this thing, and I can see why I haven't done it up to this point. It's quite a rig. It might not sound like a lot to you guys, but it's 5 pounds, which is, you know, a lot compared to my little point and shoot I used to film with, which was like maybe less than a pound. But anyways, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to try and continue with the E36 vinyl wrap saga. If you've been watching the last couple E36 videos, you know that I've been trying to make progress on the front end of the car. Cosmetically speaking, that is by far the worst area of the car. It is the area of the car that needs the most attention, and unfortunately there's just a lot of prep work that needs to happen before I could put vinyl on the car. I'll explain a little bit more of that once I get the car on the driveway and get into the work that we're going to be doing today. But essentially, I haven't been particularly motivated. It's not fun work, and laying the vinyl is a lot cooler, but like I said, there's a lot of prep, so that's what we're going to try to do today, is make some progress with the prep, as well as maybe putting some vinyl down. We'll see. But yeah, let me do some musical cars here and move some of the cars around to get the E36 on the driveway. Here we go. Well, I was just about to move this car and I realized that I have a flat, so add that to the list of things I have to take care of on this car. Focus. All right, we finally got the E36 M3 on the driveway. Of course, in typical fashion here on the channel, we ran into some issues, but we got it all handled. The car's on the driveway, and so now I can show you guys why I have to go so much further in depth on prepping this hood before we lay any vinyl wrap. Obviously, the hood is very rough. The paint had failed on this at some point, and I'm sure that's why whoever carbon fiber vinyl wrapped it decided to go that route. But essentially, the reason why I have to go so much further in depth on prepping this hood, even though it was wrapped at some point before, has to do with this little strip of vinyl wrap that I laid down a couple of minutes ago. So I don't know if you guys can see any of those little like white dots right here, but essentially, like I just said, this paint has failed, and so it is not very committed to staying on the car. And by that I mean, let me peel this piece of vinyl wrap up. So I don't know if you could see any of that if it focuses, but there's black little dots all over the back of this. And so essentially the paint on the car is, or the black paint on the car rather, is failed so much that the vinyl can peel it up if you pull the vinyl wrap up. And the reason why that's important to what I'm doing specifically is because I've mentioned before that I am not a professional when it comes to laying vinyl wrap, and in order for me personally to be able to get the vinyl wrap to lay flat and without creases and without little bubbles and stuff, I constantly have to like lift the vinyl wrap up and stretch it and pull it in all sorts of directions. And if I left the hood like this, then every single time I lifted up the vinyl wrap, I would pull black paint up, and then the stickiness and the tackiness of the vinyl wrap would get worse and worse, and eventually it wouldn't stick, or it would fail down the line. It wouldn't last as long. And so what I have to do is essentially take what was done to this part of the hood and do that to the rest of the entire hood. I basically have to sand all of the black paint off and then wet sand it and clay bar it, and then it will be ready for vinyl wrap. And so that's what we're gonna do today. Have a little sander here. We're gonna go to town on the hood, and then obviously after that we can finally start to vinyl wrap it. So here we go. All right, kids, make sure you're wearing your PPE. This stuff is really dangerous. You don't want to breathe any of this stuff in. All right, it's probably been about an hour. You guys just saw I went to town on this hood, and as you can see, it's all pretty much sanded down to primer. Anyways, I'm really stoked to have that done. Again, like I said, I hate body work. I did have to go back over this fender a little bit. This fender specifically was pretty rough, just like the hood was. I don't think that fender over there is going to be as bad, but I did have to sand this down quite a bit as well. But now all I have to do is pretty much go back over all of those spots with higher grit sandpaper and then clay bar it, and then it should be ready for wrap. So I'll probably spare you guys from that. Obviously, there's nothing really exciting about watching me sand my car, but I'll get that done. And then once I do get around to starting the wrap on this car, whether it be today or another day, for you guys it'll just be like the next clip or so. I will fill you guys in when I get there. All right, man, I got pretty lucky today and was able to get that part of the wrap on pretty easy. You know, it still took me a little bit of time, but I didn't have nearly as many problems as I normally have. So far, so good. I think the car looks really solid. This is almost exactly what it's gonna look like, obviously with the white on it. That is what we're going for. I do want to try to get the rest of the wrap on the other part of the hood for you guys. Obviously you'll see that in the coming clips, and for me, I'm gonna probably get to it tomorrow, so I will see you guys then. All right, so like I told you guys in the last clip that I wasn't going to be able to make any more progress the other day, which that ended up for me just being yesterday. I really wanted to get this hood done, and as you can see, it is. I got really lucky. Usually when I'm laying vinyl wrap, which I haven't done a lot in my life, usually I have a really hard time, but these two pieces went down pretty easy, and thankfully because of that I was able to get the top part done yesterday and then this part done today. And now we finally get a much better picture with what I have planned for this car, at least visually. So I'm really hyped. It looks really good. I was really concerned with all sorts of little things like getting this centered and making sure that, you know, how the wrap went to the side of the car right here was even on this side, and also that side, like even from side to side, like all sorts of things. But I think it turned out really good, especially considering I never wrap anything. I don't do this professionally. I've said it a ton of times, but I'm really hyped. The car looks really good, and now I am really motivated to keep making progress. I think this was probably the most challenging part of the car when it comes to wrapping, because it needed so much prep work. I don't think the rest of the car is going to need as much prep work, so the rest of it should go pretty quick. But I think we might take a break from the wrap stuff for a little while. I had a ton of parts show up this week that I want to start getting to on this car. I had mentioned in a previous video that I had made a list of a bunch of parts that I think I need to do to get this car ready for the track, and I ordered a bunch of those parts, not all of the parts, but a bunch of them, and a bunch of them came in this week. So I want to get to those parts. And so now that I have the hood done and the car doesn't look like it's, you know, out of a junkyard anymore, now I could focus on something else. And so anyways, enough ranting, enough rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys enjoy what I'm going with on the car. I said it earlier in the video, but if you're unfamiliar with what this is, then you're just gonna have to wait to see how the rest of the car turns out. But if you are familiar, hopefully you enjoy the kind of different take on the colors that I went with. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you checking it out as usual, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.